we're now working on the rock wall. We're going to go ahead and unfreeze our mouth first. Welcome to day 3. It's like 40 degrees out here. But we're getting warmed up. First we're going to measure for the studs on the rock wall. You see I've made a mark in the center. I've pulled 2 inches off of the corner here, 2 inches off the corner here. Made a mark for my stud. We're going to use 2x4s on this. What I'm going to do first is just get a rough length on a 2x4 stud. I'm going to go about 61 on this. We're going to bring it over here. We're going to go ahead and score it the way we had before to find our angle. And then we'll make 2 copies of that. Yeah. Alright, we've got our piece here, 61 inches. I've come back about 1 inch. And again, we're going to just sort of use our hand. We run it down. That's going to give us a line to, as a guide to cut from. Pull our original one out. I'm going to trace the angle because the angle will stay the same. That on each board. I'm going to adjust the next one. As you can see, we don't have any gaps. We want our boards to be able to sit flat and flush against each of these studs. You can take your level, and we are good to go here. Alright, to cut our deck boards here, we're going to go ahead and do an inch overhang on each side. You notice how I've got these flaring out just a little bit. That's just sort of a style thing. You can do it square if you like. But to get our inch overhang, looks like from the top here I've got 43¼ So I'm going to have a deck board cut at 45¼ where we have 1 inch on each side. With that first one just flush with your studs, and then the rest will just go right flush with the one before. I'm going to now show you how to build the trusses for the upper canopy. We're going to set our saw on a 31.6. Most saws you'll have a preset little cutout for 31.6. We're going to set that there. I'm going ahead and cut that angle there. We're going to pull 60 inches from long to short. Make a mark at 60. This will be our short point of our next cut. We're going to make 4 of these. You see how you want to join these together. You're going to cut a 24-inch deck board that you're going to set and use as a collar tie on the truss. Next, you're going to pre-drill holes here, attach the truss to the top. You're going to pre-drill 5 or 6 holes here and attach the collar tie to the truss itself. Explaining.
but
we're now ready to install the trusses. First, you want to make sure your collar tie is facing the inside. This is going to go on the outside of the 4x4s. Temporarily put your clamp on it. You raise this until the top of your truss is flush with the top outside corner of your 4x4. Once you've got your truss temporarily in place, you've got the top edge lined up with the top outside edge of your 4x4. What you want to do is measure from the outside of your truss to the face of your 4x4, and you want to make sure that this length is the same as the length on the other side. You want to center that. That will tell you that your truss is centered on the ship canopy opening. Once we've got our truss set in the right place, we're going to speed drill from the outside. Make 3 holes and then attach with your 3-inch screws. Before we installed this rear truss, we made sure that our 4x4s were square. The way we did this was to measure along the closest point that was already attached and rigid. So we double checked up here and made sure that was the same, and it was. If it hadn't been, we would have either needed to bring them together or pull them apart and temporarily put a brace on them. For the front truss, we want to make sure these 4x4s are square as well. We're going to measure from the nearest rigid point, which is going to be down on this deck here. We've got 89 and 5/8. We're going to check that up here, and I've already pulled and checked, and it was a couple inches out. We've got 90 1/4. So we've hooked our strap on there. We're ready to crank it until it's right. Oh, and it will be right. Check it.
what do you do if you had to push them out?
If you push them out, you attach a 2x4 to that end. Have someone help you pull it out and screw it down. Alright, once you've got your 4x4s pulled in where they need to be, you're going to go ahead and attach a 2x4 temporarily so that when you set your truss on there and you're moving it back and forth, it doesn't get you out of square. Alright, we're going to measure for some cross bracing on the roof system. To get that measurement, pull from the closest rigid point. We've got from the outside of the 4x4 to the outside of this 4x4, 59 3/8. That's going to end up going right there. Do the same thing for the opposite side. Oh yeah. Sweet sauce. What that's called. Same thing down. If you're in full on. That's what I say. Unless anyone has a problem with that.
That's your whole motto?
Yep.
Your whole philosophy?
Whole philosophy in life boils down to that. Alright, we've got our cross bracing set here. We're going to duplicate this length up to the top. We're going to put one more up on the ridge. It's going to be the same measurement as what you have here. Peace. Alright, with all of our bracing in place, we're now ready to measure for our shingle boards. You're going to go ahead and measure your width. You're going to want to add 1 inch to each side. I've got 62 1/2 from outside to outside, so I'm going to make my board 64 1/2. That's an inch. inch. Man, gosh, idiot. I'm going ahead and pre-cut a piece of deck board here, just as used as a spacer. I've cut it at 5 inches long, and I'll show you in a minute how we lay that on the roof and how it spaces out our shingles. I've pre-drilled and sunk a screw from this side and taken clamps off. The first one will lay down flat, and then you'll see the second one is actually going to sit up on top, so that when it rains, water actually flows. Here's your roof spacer, our 5-inch piece. We're going to set that flat, and that will help us keep the right spacing as we go up. And then you can take your clamps and clamp it down. And check for your inch overhang. It's good there. Check it one more time with our spacer before we drilled and screw it in. Looks like it's ready to go. You can see how the end of this board holds down the top of the one below it. That keeps it sturdy and rigid all the way down, and you can see how our water is going to flow when it rains.
Well, we're working on our rock wall now, and we're putting on our rocks. They come in these little kits like this that you'll have on your supply list. And what we need to do is drill 2 holes so we can secure this to the wall. You're just gonna look at your wall and space these out evenly. I think we have 8 total, so just kind of space them out to where you think they should go. I'm gonna put one over here right now. So you're going to find the drill bit a little bit wider than this. In this case, this is a 5/16 that I'm using. So we're going to put this up here and make our hole. And you're going to take these back pieces and put them in the back. Put that one on there first. Then you'll wash it.
Alright, we've used our 5-inch spacer all the way up to this point to keep our boards all parallel and straight. On the very last one, instead of using the spacer, you're going to bring your last board as high as it can go, but you're going to take your square and let it plane out. Slide your board up until it touches your square. When we come up the other side, the other one's going to lay right on that corner.
As we speak. I love the audio I can get out the
Actually, I had no clue what I'm talking about, so I'm going to start over. First thing to do is to get the length of our vertical 2x4s. To get that, we're going to measure from the top of the deck to the top of your 4x4. We've got 25 inches there, and we're going to also add 4.5 inches. We got 3.5 here and one more, so we're going to 25 plus 4.5 is 29. We're going to cut 4 of these at 29.5 inches. And then to install them, we pulled 16 inches from the bottom of our gang plank. Made a mark here. Done the same thing on the other side. And we've been using clamps to temporarily hold them on as we drill pilot holes. What I'll do is put a clamp on there, put my square up against it, make sure it's square to the plank itself. Tighten the clamp down real good, drill your holes and screw it in. Do the same thing on the other side, making sure that this mirrors that one. For the second one, we've come up from the base, 68.5. Made a line, done the same thing on the other side, and repeated all those same steps. Make sure this is good and square, good and secure. We've used 3-inch screws. The next thing is our support rails. We're taking a 2x4 10-footer and set it up 9 inches. And 9 inches on the base.
And it was like boom, and I was like,
Dang.
spinning all around, got me tripping out my brain. It was like boom, and I was like, dang.
Wow.
Every day.
Alright, once we get up this high on the roof, we're going to take the second to last board on the second side, and we've ripped it down to 3 inches wide, and it's still 64.5 long. The reason we've done this is so that our very last piece can sit on top of it and overlap to the other side.